Good morning, this is the Yesterday Show with your host, Latt Mauer. Today's topics, the Homestead Strike, and a Q&A with Mr. Henry Frick himself. And before we begin the program today, let's take a quick announcement from our sponsors.
Hello, I am Armando Ferry. Here at Ferry Construction Company, we can serve all of your construction requirements. Give us a telegraph at --.
July 5th, 1892. 300 Pinkertons gathered on Davis Island about 5 miles below Pittsburgh. They attempted to arrive under the cover of darkness to break up the strike in Homestead the next morning at 4 a.m. July 6th, they were under gunfire as they head up the river. Excuse me. They experienced gunfire and stoning from the peoples all across the Homestead River on their whole journey up. You know, three of the Pinkertons died there. It's very unclear who shot first, but this Homestead tragedy is it's something that really shocked the Pittsburgh world, you know. Next, July 12th, you know, 8,000 militiamen were ordered there. It's a mess right now. And we have actually a guest speaker today, Mr. Henry Frick, to join us with an interview and get some more information on the topic. Thank you for coming in, Mr. Frick.
Hello, Latt.
Hello, Mr. Frick, how are you?
No, I'm not doing too well, sir.
Oh, why is that, sir?
Well, these workers here at Andrew Carnegie and I's beloved mill, they will not follow directions. My beloved boss, Andrew Carnegie, has been in Scotland on vacation. You're getting some well-deserved rest. And I, myself, Henry Clay Frick, was put in charge of this wondrous mill. Now, under orders from my boss, I slashed wages. Because that's what you have to do when you want to run a successful company. But do these workers tolerate? No, they do not. They rebel. They rebel from their masters, who they need to serve. So we slashed wages. And these members of the Amalgamated Association of Iron and Steel Workers went on strike. They went on strike when they should have kept on working to get their pay. But they did not. So I did what I had to do. On July 2nd, I fired all of them. And I locked them out of the mill. I did what I had to do. They wanted to strike, so I punished them. So eventually, yes, I did call in the Pinkertons, because that's just what I had to do to end all of this insane madness.
300 of them.
Yes, I did call in 300 Pinkertons, yes.
Davis
Thank you
Island.
very much.
Yes.
And they did their job. Now, unfortunately, these unruly workers that I had already fired decided to shoot them up. They decided to shoot them up, and they killed 3 of them.
Yeah, three of the Pinkerton workers.
3 Pinkertons were
Yes.
killed. Now, 16 workers were killed, but they most certainly were the ones that started the violence. The Pinkertons were there only to use force if necessary. But no, I guarantee that when all is said and done, these workers would have started all of this madness.
So I would just like to have a quick little question and answer with you. You said your boss, Andrew Carnegie was over in Europe somewhere, Scotland, I believe. And did he give you orders to call in the Pinkertons per se, which caused all this violence?
No, but he left me in charge of this company while he was in Scotland. The only orders I received directly from Mr. Carnegie himself were to cut workers' wages, because unfortunately the mill was going through a slight hiccup in the running process, so we had to cut wages. But that's what we had to do. But besides that, I took the calling in Pinkertons all on myself.
Now, just playing devil's advocate here, Mr. O'Toole's favorite game to play. The workers, they were, not receiving a whole lot of pay under these yellow dog contracts. It was just pretty tough for them. And how do you think that they're going to move forward on with their lives with the result of this strike, with the result of their unemployment? How do you think they're going to get past this?
Well, the number one priority of me and Mr. Carnegie are to run a successful business. Now, striking was the choice of the workers. They had not been fired until they decided to strike and not even come into the mill to work. They brought that on themselves. They should have actually done what they were told to do and come to work with slightly decreased pay, and everything would have run business as usual.
Now, explain why again that you decreased the pay. Was it per se just too expensive that your business was going? It was just too much money to run at the time? It was bad economy? What was going on at the time?
Well, at the time, like I said, Mill was in slight hiccup, required just short-term pay slashes, but I can assure you, yes, short-term, I can assure you that after all this was over and this whole debacle ended, we could have raised wages again. But no, they could not wait. The workers themselves were being too greedy, and they wanted even more money when, unfortunately, the mill couldn't pay them that. Because this is a business, and businesses require profit.
They do, sir, and it seems that you and Carnegie received quite the profit compared to these workers, playing just devil's advocate here, Mr. O'Toole's favorite game. So, how do you feel that they are rebelling because of the fact that their pay and their conditions are just at such a low level that it's becoming, in fact, hard to survive at some point, whether it's just low finances, it's hard to feed themselves, or just super dangerous conditions? How do you feel that you will resolve these problems?
Well, they are unskilled workers. That's what category of labor they fall into. Now, really, I'm going to ask you a question here, Latt.
Sure.
Do unskilled workers deserve to be paid as much as Mr. Carnegie and I? Mr. Carnegie built this company up from the ground. He worked as a bobbin boy in a factory when his parents immigrated from Scotland over here. He started with nothing. He built himself up. Maybe if these workers wanted more money, they would actually take it upon themselves to build themselves up.
That's interesting. I have one last question for you. Would you say building yourself up from nothing and becoming, just a rich person, successful in life, philanthropist that Mr. Carnegie is, do you think that is the definition of the American dream? It is the American dream alive and well today.
Absolutely, the American dream is alive and well. As I pointed out, my boss, Andrew Carnegie, he pulled himself up by his bootstraps. He built one of the largest companies in the world. He has one of the largest steel companies in the world history. And he did that being an immigrant, coming over from Scotland.
Mm-hmm. Yes,
now, I would like to remind our audience that it is actually Andrew Carnegie and not Carnegie, as so many people like to point out. It is Carnegie. We say this time and time again. It is very disrespectful to my boss when people call him Andrew Carnegie. 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 Thank you.
Carnegie.
Hey, it's Armando Ferry here. Don't forget to come back and check out the Ferry Construction Company. It's much, much better than all of these Pinkertons and Andrew Carnegie. They don't matter. Ferry Construction matters.
Oh, I actually, just receiving word, Latt Mauer has been fired over sexual assault allegations.
Thank you for watching today's program of The Yesterday Show with your host, who is no longer Latt Mauer.